So today, Bernard Dranville, our education minister, unveiled something that PQ apparently is really good at: dashboards. They've done this in a couple. I think they did this in health, right? Now they're doing education. So they kind of throw it up there and put a whole bunch of things on it and say, we're going to start doing this, and this. It looks really good. I mean, graphs are always good. And in the case of Bernard Dranville, I think there are 9 different points on this education dashboard, but already pushback, it didn't take long, is starting to come. So we wanted to get some information, some details on this. Heidi Yetman is president of the Canadian Teachers Federation. She's on the line right now. Heidi, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So let me start with one part of this, which I guess you think is a good idea, and that's the fact that he's suggesting, the minister is here, it's maybe time to do away with entrance exams for different schools. Is that a good idea or not?
Well, I think it's a good idea, personally. I think that I believe in community schools, that all schools should be well-funded and of quality. So if we can get to this nirvana that I have of education, every local school would have the resources that you need, and everybody would be going to their local community school, and there would be no reason to have entrance exams, because we could give resources to students in the classroom that need that help, remove them in small groups, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I think that entrance exams is a little piece of inequality when it comes to education.
So I'm trying to understand how that works. We have entrance exams now, which basically are there to do what exactly?
Well, in the public system, they have special programs. So those special programs, you have to write an entrance exam to get into them. And it's this basically, you know, first of all, you have the private schools. They have entrance exams as well to get into those. If you get in, you get in. Yes. If you don't, you write another entrance. I'm thinking of high schools in particular. You write another entrance exam for a special program in another school. And if you get in, yay. And if you don't, well, now you're just in the regular classroom. And we know that in Quebec we have a 3-tier system. And so those special programs that are limiting the number of students and deciding who's getting in where are really creating some real issues in the regular classroom.
Help me out here. We have a 3-tier system. I thought we just had a 2-tier system, public schools and private schools.
No, we actually have a 3-tier system because of the special program. And that's due to competition. And that's interesting because I know that I'm on the call for this thing about data, which is also going to add to that competition. It's competition between different schools. There's the private sector, there's the special program, there's the regular schools that are competing against each other. And that's why I go back to, wouldn't it be great if all schools were good, all schools were well funded, and you could go to your community school and that would be like any other school anywhere else in the province.
You know, I got to tell you though, as I hear you say that, I think to myself, wouldn't many people agree that competition though is a good thing, that it would actually help schools and help overall performance?
No, actually, competition is not good for education, because what happens is that schools become like a merchandise. Parents believe they have this amazing choice, and they do in Quebec. Well, where can I, and some of them don't, because they don't have the funds to send their kids to private school, by the way. But that idea that you're actually shopping for a school is really bad for education, because it creates a lot of inequality between different, if you're in a disadvantaged area, for example, your school might have more challenges versus a school that's in a more advantageous area. So competition is not good. Really, when it gets down to it, what we need, and I'm repeating myself here, is well-funded, publicly funded public schools that are good for everybody.
So so I'm curious again, because I don't know a whole lot about the situation, and I know there's, as I said at the top, there's already pushback, not about what we're talking about, which is this idea of no entrance exams, but on ranking schools, because that's part of what the minister is saying today, right? He wants to have data on every individual school, like in a public database, and then we can decide where they're ranked, and I'm not sure what happens after that, but so far reaction has been pretty negative.
Well, data is important. It's important to collect data. I completely agree. We need to know which schools are having more difficulties, more challenges. But I'll put that out there. So as a parent, I'm going to look up my community school and realize that it's ranked very, very low. Well, I'm not going to send my child there. And I don't blame parents who decide, hey, that school is really poorly ranked. I'm not sending my child there. So then we get into this again. We get into this competition, like kind of like going shopping for a car. You're now going shopping for the best school for your child. And I get that. I'm a parent of 2 boys. I want the best for my 2 boys. But that's not the society we should be living in. We should be living in a society where everybody is treated the same and everybody gets the same stuff at the end of the day. And that's what competition does. It creates different, depending on where you are in terms of your salaries, you're going to get a better education than somebody that maybe, is a single mom, for example, who's doing her best with her children. So, I have a real problem with comparing schools.
Let me ask about something else, which is this idea, again, as you said, in a perfect world, funding would be the same for everyone. In a public school system here, never mind private schools, is funding not equal across the board?
Actually, that's a really good question. It is equal across the board. But the problem stems, again, I'm talking about high schools, is when one school offers a sports program and another school offers an art program and another school has this, special international program, that is not equal. So we're not talking about equal education for everybody. Now, if every school offered all these possible programs and every child had the possibility of going into any program they wished, then I would say there's equality. So, and it's because of this competition that we're getting schools that are coming up with anything they can do to compete against the other person. I remember I was an art teacher in a school, and I was told at a meeting once, I'll never forget this, I was told at a meeting once, you need to fight for your job. You need to compete against the school down the road. You need to make sure your program is the best program. Well, I was actually competing against my colleagues because the school down the road also had an art teacher who was a colleague of mine. And I thought to myself, this doesn't make any sense to me that I'm competing against my colleague that's just down the road and who's teaching the same subject as me, who I get along really well with, right? Now competition especially in public services is not a good idea.
But the other end of that argument, sort of, is the fact that we know graduation rates here, and this comes up all the time, and I'm sure that's why the ministry was sort of decided to go ahead and do something. There are some very, very poor graduation rates at schools here, and part of the deal when people look at it is to go, what do we do? How do we make that better? Do you see anything in this that would actually change that or make it better?
No. Nothing. There's nothing in this that would make it better. What we need to do is reimagine the way we are teaching students. There are students that are just not academic, and that's okay. We need those guys. We should be looking at vocational, for example, in high school. Maybe there's a kid that's really good with his hands who can repair a car. I can't repair a car. I might have a degree in science, but I can't repair a car. And we need people that can repair cars because we're all driving them. So we need to reimagine education a little bit and realize that all students have strengths. And unfortunately, we're very academic in our high schools. And maybe that needs to be looked at a little closer and make sure that everybody's is successful and can get out there and make a living and do well for themselves.
I will ask you one last thing as we run out of time, and that is what you brought up earlier on, this idea of private schools and public schools, and people say, and as you said too, and I think people realize that, not everyone can afford to send their children to private schools. What can be done to fix that situation? It's come up before as well.
Well, this is going to sound really crazy, but you got to stop subsidizing them. Quebec heavily subsidized private schools. It drives me crazy because I'm a taxpayer and my tax money is going to a family who is putting their child in a private school. I don't feel that that's my job. If you remove subsidies for private schools, it would be very expensive to send your child to a private school. And therefore, we would have all those students who got into private schools in the regular system helping out students that have challenges.
So you're not talking about getting rid of private schools, you're just talking about subsidies from the government not to support them.
Yeah, and if those subsidies fall, those private schools, some of them will fall as well. So I think that we should be transferring, changing, just like they did in Finland in the 70s. They basically said there is no more subsidies, and all those private schools turned into public schools, public community schools.
Interesting. All right. Heidi, interesting as always. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
All right. Heidi YETMAN, she is president of the Canadian Teachers Federation. And again, all this to do with Bernard Dranville, the Minister of Education's announcement today on his 9-point dashboard for what he'd like to see change in schools. And apparently, as I said, beyond just Heidi YETMAN, there are some people already reacting on the French side saying not all on board with these ideas. So we'll see where this goes.